This screen shows the entire water system as a water flow diagram. The interaction between the various components in a normal brewing cycle can be described as follows. Water from the water mains enters the air brake tank via the inlet valve. The inlet valve of this model features an integrated one-way valve. The air brake tank prevents water from flowing back to the water mains. When a product selection button is pressed, water from the air brake tank is pumped into the boiler. The filling pipe inside the boiler guides cold water to the bottom of the boiler to prevent incoming cold water from directly mixing with hot water. The required amount of water is measured by the flow meter. The pump is switched off once the required amount has been pumped into the boiler. Water is heated up in the boiler. When water is pumped into the boiler, hot water flows out to the valves. Depending on the chosen product, specific valves are opened. This can be hot water, the instant module, or the water jet mixer. The water system features a recirculation valve. In the standby mode, the valve is opened, allowing for any surplus pressure from the boiler to be released into the air brake tank. Each brewing cycle starts off with recirculation, whereafter the valve closes. Water flows through an opened two-way valve to the water restriction receptor. Inside the water restriction receptor, the water channel narrows. As a result, the speed of the passing water increases, lowering the air pressure at this spot. The lower pressure draws in air through a separate air channel connected to the three-way valve. This is the so-called Venturi effect. The resulting pressurized water jet is required to achieve the desired mixing performance. There are two air restrictors in the system to regulate the amount of air. One restrictor for coffee and one for milk. At the end of a brewing cycle, an air pump generates air that flows to the coffee and milk tubes to clean out any water. The next step is to describe the brewing cycle of various drinks step by step using the water flow diagram. After the cappuccino button is pressed, the sequence is as follows. The pump is switched on and water is pumped into the boiler. Hot water in the boiler flows into the system. The flow meter measures the required amount of water. A small amount of hot water flows into the tubes and back into the boiler. This recirculation serves to preheat the system. The recirculation valve closes. The dosing coil of the cafe milk is actuated and ingredient is being dosed. Shortly thereafter, the two-way valve opens. Water flows to the water restriction receptor and air that is drawn in through the air channel is added. The air pump and the three-way valve at the coffee side switches on. This forces air through the tubes at the milk side. The air removes any water from the air channel and tubes to the mixing chamber. The sequence is now repeated for coffee. The dosing coil for coffee is actuated and coffee is being dosed. Shortly thereafter, the two-way valve opens. Water flows to the water restriction receptor, and air that is drawn in through the air channel is added. The water jet is mixed with coffee in the mixing chamber. The three-way valve at the coffee side is opened to produce flat coffee without a crema. In this instance, the relation between coffee with crema versus flat straight coffee is 75 versus 25%. The air pump and the three-way valve at the milk side switches on. This forces air through the tubes at the milk side. The air removes any water from the air channel and tubes to the mixing chamber.